Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm glad you came, and those who didn't hear it a few minutes ago, I'm just asking you to do this today. I'm not very strong today, and I would like for you to tell me, volunteer to tell me what is disturbing you. If I have a friend like Wendy, she's around a lot, and I get to see little things. And little things are very dangerous. You are made up of lots of little things. And some things you do when you shouldn't do it, thinking that you're doing it right. There is nothing you can do for yourself at all. It does not exist. If it exists, you'll never get better, ever. Of myself, I can do nothing, says Jesus. Why call me good? I have to repeat that. And many of those things, I'm reading the Bible a little bit. A lot of what he talks about doesn't mean a whole lot. But he has some wonderful, wonderful, magical words and thoughts. And that's what I grasp those. Why call me good? No one is good but God, not even Jesus himself. He's the extension of God. You have to become pure extensions of God or die. You have to give up what's left of your crap, pardon the expression. So, what is yours? What little thing inside you is relative to what I just said? Do you try to make something happen? Who tries to make them? How? Just put your hand up. Let me see it. Only two? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, she's got 2 hands up. Well, no, tell me what little things that keep coming up. If you was to live with me, I'd watch you, and I wouldn't be able to escape. You wouldn't be able to escape what I see. So you might as well just tell me what you're doing inside to help yourself. I don't want you to help yourself. I want him to help you. And him and me becomes him and you through me. Or by yourself, you can invite him in. But you can't invite him in so long as you're trying to fix yourself. You have to come to the conclusion that all your suffering is all trying to fix yourself and not wanting you to see yourself as wrong. Now, that seems to be very ordinary, but it isn't. When you do something wrong, or when you are intimidated, which causes you to do something wrong, but not your fault involved because you have a weakness. We all have that weaknesses. But to hide that weakness and try to be a better person is dangerous. Because the whole thing is you want to do things right. You have to find something to do to distract the fact that the light is following you all the way to the grave. You follow that? And it's in little things. And I can't express it more than I'll say it again. Everybody on earth, to varying degrees, to the really, really wicked ones, to the decent ones who want to be right and don't want to be wrong, so you try to do a right thing, see, and give something to someone or whatever it is, because the minute you start to do that fraction, it disconnects you from the opposite way.
The giver.
Yes. See, because you're in the middle, you as a human being are not animals. You're in the middle of being subject to the world, and you know what's in the world, it comes up into you and will kill you. And the purpose of life is the purpose of life, to live forever. I've seen it. I know it's true. I don't know if you go in the ground and the spirit goes somewhere else. That's likely. Because as you're sitting here right now, you are growing. Every moment you are growing down, a little bit at the time, or a lot at the time, and trying to figure out how to be a better person. You can't be. Who understands this? Good. So stop trying to fix things. Just be aware. See, sitting in this room, all I ask you to do is be aware of all these nice people around you. That's all. You look at the lights. You look at the furniture. Just be and be. You'd be surprised. So I can go on just living, and living with my wife. She's not well, and she takes a little problem dealing with the problem, a lot. But meanwhile, I can work. I can go in the garden. I can do some exercise. There's always something that will catch your eye. And thoughts will come, or not so much thought, but little flashes of, I don't know if you can call it light, but all of a sudden I see something about you. All of a sudden I see about the dog. All of a sudden I see something about the leaves of a tree. It could be anything. It will, whatever is in you will draw you to what you need to see. You hear a baby cry. You never know what you're going to hear and what you're going to get out of it. But you must not try to get anything out of anything. Just be, if you're in a prison for 20 years, you should come out a better person. But there's the other person who doesn't understand and gets impatient and gets angry. 20 years, he comes out mad, in a manner of speaking, if you want to make it clear. Everything bad happens for good. Let the bad be bad, because the bad is good for you. You have to see the bad. You have to see the stupidity. See, whatever it is, if you're aware, you may not be a leaf, and it may not be a baby's cry, which brings something to you. I'm just making up something as I go along. You'll always be able to see yourself. And you'll be able to see what you didn't want to see in that moment that you try to make things better and make yourself a better person, because it means you're moving in the wrong direction, away from salvation. How simple can that be? I'm a simple person. A gentleman just asked me, have you got your program fixed for today? With words to that effect. I don't have anything like that at all. It is what it is. I'm waiting for someone now because I got right to the crux of it. You have to be aware and nothing else. Now, if you're in business, if you're a mother, there's always things that you can do, so don't worry about the way I said it, because it looks like you're going to be like a zombie. I don't mean it that way, because you're surrounded. Usually you're surrounded in your office, in your home, with your kids, with your friends. But you see, here we go. You have all these things happening around you. If it's a leaf on a tree, if it's a spinning, I can't find a word. There's a spinning.
Dandelion.
Yeah, it's
They're seeds.
a seed. It spins. I mean, you notice it. That's interesting. How comes it's spinning off that tree? How does it know how to spin? In dandelions, how does it do that? Whoa. No, but the point is, you don't know what it is, but it's wonder. I don't know what that is, but it's wonderful just to see it. And God loves you for that. He loves you because you're seeing His magic to the very inch of it, and smaller than an inch. I don't know what smaller than an inch is, but whatever it is, dandelion has little things that it blows, the wind blows them, and it carries the seed. How could that plant produce that, make that himself? Or how can the tree know how to be a tree? How does a seed in your body, a microscope, can only see them, the man in his way and a woman in her way. And yet, you're the next, a child is ready to be born from that little seed. We take all this for granted. Don't take everything for granted, because it robs you of something. It's just baby, it's a baby born, a baby born, a baby born, a baby born, a baby born. And he grows up to be saying the same thing. Yeah, he goes over, he gets married, there's a baby born, there's a baby born, there's a baby born. And it's the same old thing. The wife is in control, the man is out of control. Adam and Eve. Eve is still Eve, Adam is a fallen person. And there it is over and over again. She loves him, no she doesn't. She screws him and he enjoys being screwed. Excuse the expression. Just be aware of now. And if you're a business person, thoughts will come to you. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. I'm just being dramatic a little bit. It comes. Somebody just a little while ago in the bathroom, have you figured out what you're going to say? No. I never figure out what I say. Yeah, I don't know what I would do next. I don't want to know. I wanted to give him to give it to me. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm saying something a little bit different from the things I've said before. I've made it more simple, haven't I? Now, anybody has anything to say? Have you noticed anything is wrong with you? Because you won't if you try to fix it. And you don't want to be guilty. You want to be good, you don't want to be guilty, so you move away from the light without realizing that what you're doing. You just want to do something good. I see it. It's a problem. But then you go, but the tendency at that point is to move away. So you don't have to feel guilty. And then you feel good, but it's small. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you become a big bugger, in the manner of speaking. It will grow. Now it can get smaller and smaller and smaller if you catch it. But you have a longing to see the truth of every small thing. The smaller it is, the more dangerous it is. Look for the little things. But you don't know what they are. Just wait and see. Just enjoy being aware. Now you can go home.
Can I say a few words?
Yes, Chuck.
Because I've been on this journey for a while, and I'm still on it every day.
Say it again.
I've been on this journey for a while.
Yes, of course.
And what's interesting is that I started the journey and thought I was going backwards when I was going forwards, because I began seeing things in me that I didn't know were there.
Exactly.
And I
Did you understand what he just said?
Yes.
It's beautiful.
I thought I was going backwards. But really, see, when God catches up with you, the first thing you see is what's real.
Absolutely.
And there's a part of you that can't stand to be in that moment. So it wants to change the moment and distract you.
Exactly.
And then, so your life, eventually, once that begins, your life is always a time when your brain and your body try to pull you away from being aware in the moment. And there's a million ways
We
you
don't
can
want
do
to be
it.
wrong.
No.
And the more wrong we are, the more that we don't want to be wrong.
But the more you're willing to be wrong and not fix yourself, like you said, the more you see that's wrong, in a sense.
Correct.
It's less, it's not as much that's wrong, it's just this little
I'll
human
drink
nature.
while you're talking, so shut up
You
for
can
a
do
minute.
it. So I want to use an
I'm
example.
sorry.
I know. I want to use an example. Roy and I we've known each other for at least 25 years where
At least.
I've known of you, but you've known me for 25 years or more, and you're always throwing these little things out, and I used to secretly resent them at me.
Did you really?
Yeah. And at some point, not that long ago, 10 years ago, I realized, wait a minute, I'm getting upset by those little barbs. I excused them, I did all this stuff, and I realized there's something in me I didn't see. So at some point, I welcomed the barbs because I got to see how upset I was. Nobody else saw it because I looked normal, but I could see it. And then the barbs would come and I would begin to look to see if there was any. I said to you once, you said, did you hear what I said, Chuck? And I said, I heard you, Roy. I'm just looking to see if there's any dust. Meaning, as the barb came through, to see if it caught anything in me that resented that. And that is magic. And,
It is.
And I don't know why I was able to do that. It just happened.
I wonder if anybody understood what you said.
Probably not. He does.
Does anybody... You be me for a minute and see if they understand what you said.
You be me.
Be me, you. Be you? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What did I mean?
Anybody saying what you said just now, can anybody say it equivalent, be equivalent to that? Go ahead.
Well, what he was saying was that he saw his emotional reactions to what the words that you were saying, and that. Thank you. And that he was more focused on seeing how he reacted and seeing where he was wrong and really what you were saying, and welcomed it.
Let me add to that. I'll talk on the same microphone so you can run around.
Yeah.
Let me add to this.
I like this. Go
In
ahead.
the beginning, I would see it and then try to pretend like it didn't bother me. Then I would see it and knew it bothered me, but I would explain it away. Oh, that's just Roy's Jewish way of him. Jewish people are always throwing barbs, and that's just his Jewishness. And then I saw how foolish that was. I had to stand in the helplessness of my own emotion. He would trigger it, and I would see it, and I wouldn't deny it, but I couldn't fix it. I was upset, and I felt inferior because I was upset.
Yeah.
Nobody would see it. Didn't matter. Couldn't fix it.
But the upset made you worse.
It made me worse, but I was willing to see all this. I spent years making excuses for it to myself, trying to explain it to myself. Well, you know. And the miracle is not to do anything,
Correct.
just to watch and suffer the pain of what you're watching.
And
Everything
not,
bad,
and not,
everything bad happens for good.
He wants the mic.
You done?
well, yeah, I know one problem that I used to have is, I don't think I have anymore, is that if
Alan wants to speak.
Oh.
To you. Well, go
As
ahead.
if I would see something, I would resent the seeing of it.
There it is. And there's another part of it.
Okay, Alan.
Hello, Alan.
So because I'm his son, I've had experiences like this my whole life. And when it finally hit me that I had to not react was when I was about 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. I was a typical pimply-faced 17-year-old boy, starting to grow whiskers, so you get pimples. I watched my sons all go through it, and then as soon as their whiskers came in, the pimples went away. But I said to my dad, I took him to school, my mom and dad, and I said, I want you to meet my art teacher. He's my favorite teacher. He's giving me the ability to use this airbrush that I bought and in the classroom, and I was the only one that could do it. He let me use his own little art studio, and he was favoring me. So I really liked him, and I wanted to impress him by introducing my impressive parents to him, is the way I saw it. And so my mom and dad came to the school, and I made the introduction, and my dad, of course, was complimentary of me and my art skills. And then they started talking about life and all these things the way my father always has throughout my whole life, whether it's in the bathroom, the way he was talking to the guy in the bathroom, or in the elevator, or wherever it is, he always starts talking about the meaning of life. And so I said, I'm gonna go to my next teacher next door, just come next door when you're done. And my dad says, okay, as long as you don't squeeze your zits.
What? What's that got to do with cheese?
Exactly. What has it got to do with anything? But you decided you were gonna throw one of Chuck's zingers at me, which is don't squeeze your pimples on your face.
Yeah.
And there was other teachers and other kids and people, and you said this across the whole room, and my face turned bright red, and I went, what the hell was that? What was the purpose of that? And I just said, okay, and I turned and walked out, and I was furious. And I remember thinking to myself, my father's crazy. I don't know what the hell to think about him. Always throwing these, like Chuck says, zingers at me. The reason was he was teaching me in public about public humiliation or public not reacting, because people in your life will throw those zingers at you. And if you get one from somebody you care about, then you don't punch them in the face. If you get one from somebody that you don't know, then you're apt to react and punch them in the face, and a fight breaks out. But what you should do is learn not to react, no matter who it is, somebody you love or somebody you don't love or don't even know. You just look at them. So I learned that a long time ago, and then a year or two later, it happened again in one of those odd ways. I had learned how to paint cars, and I had gotten pretty damn good. In the auto industry, the enthusiasts saw that I was getting good. I was 19 years old, and this neurosurgeon in Ojai, California, which is on fire right now, but he had a Lamborghini Miura, which was a very expensive Lamborghini car. I didn't even know what it was, and he wanted me to paint it. Now, what kind of a person has a 19-year-old kid paint their Lamborghini? Must have been a crazy person. He was a neurosurgeon. He wasn't very smart in other ways, but he must have been good at what he did. But anyway, he had me paint the car, and I did a fantastic job at it. My dad comes up to pick some oranges, because we had a little orange ranch there, and he puts on his picking bag, which is a gigantic Santa Claus-sized bag that you carry over your shoulder because you're going to get 50 pounds of oranges. And he walks by me, and I had been buffing this black Lamborghini. And I said to him, "What do you think, Dad?" As he's tightening his belt on his orange picking bag, and he says, "Oh, I don't know. You've done better." And he just keeps on walking. Now, I had not done better. I had never done better than that in my life. That was a life-changing car for me. And I stood there, and I remember watching my dad's little butt walk away with that big picking bag on his shoulder. And I remember thinking, my dad's crazy. Because he's always throwing these zingers at me, right? But then I remember kind of feeling in that moment, now I'm 19 now, I remember feeling in that moment, I should not look for approval from any other human being.
You got it.
I should look for the approval of God in me. Have I done a good job? Yes, I've done a good job. I've done a fantastic job. I shouldn't need to get praise or approval or ego building from any other person.
I'm just making a point.
No, I totally get it now, but at the time I thought you were nuts.
Yeah.
The point is...
Well, a lot of people think I'm nuts.
I know they do. The point is that in your life, you're going to think, like Chuck for a long time, he thought, why does he do that? And it's real simple. It's real simple. And I have a test for you guys. It's a real simple test. Most people here know me, and for those of the listening audience, I'm going to do a little test for the people here.
I'm enjoying this.
And here's the little test. It's real simple. You're fat and you're ugly.
That's right.
Right? Are you pissed off at me?
No, he's
No?
not.
You're fat and you're ugly. Roger. And your beard is ugly. Are you pissed off at me? Not yet. Oh, now we go to the ladies. Let's see what happens. You're fat and ugly.
Well, it's not true.
She says it's not true. I don't know you well enough to insult you,
Okay,
but you're fat and you're ugly.
I know, but I hear it all the time.
She says the point is that you guys know me. The people that are listening know my father. It doesn't matter who you hear those kinds of insults from. You should just look at them and go, okay, if that's what you think, then guess what it is for you.
You're missing the point.
Well,
You're missing the point. You missed the whole
hold on, I'll let you do it. Because you have obviously an alternate point to this. My thing is that I learned from my father, just don't react. It doesn't matter what anybody says to you. They are not, if they get you to react, they own you. Am I right?
Correct.
If they get you to react, they own you.
The truth
If you
is,
don't react, if it's
that's-
just words, go ahead.
Well, that's how evil wins. It only has to upset you one time, and you don't realize that that person owns you.
So I want to give it to Chuck because there's alternate, evidently, something else too that we want to add to it. Because to me, that's what I learned from my father. He used to always throw these zingers at me, and I got pissed off as you couldn't even believe. And then one day I realized I need to just realize that I'm on this journey by myself with one other being, which is the Father in heaven, who I need to look inward to find approval if I'm doing the right thing.
Correct.
I need to look at this and say, this I know is right. This I know is right. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says to me. They can try their best to make me doubt myself. I can consider it, give it some deep thought, but I stopped looking for approval. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't fall and fall and fall along the path many times, because I've been one of those approval seekers like many of us are in life. Who doesn't love to get a pat on the back?
That's
Who
the
doesn't
worst
love
thing-
to get
the worst thing in
we
the
love
world
it
is
because of our fallen nature.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to hear from Chuck because he's got another alternate
Okay.
side.
I just want to say, that Alan is correct, and maybe Chuck has a different outlook on what you're saying, and he's saying something that's just a little bit different. But continue.
Well, you didn't criticize me because I was tall and skinny and not handsome. You had a nickname for me. It's kind of symbolic. You called me Upchuck. Okay? And that has to do with some of my past, in that I had a series of exorcisms at one time, and it was like upchucking evil.
Yeah.
Okay? So the nickname actually was a good thing in a sense. Oh, you've had evil taken out of you. But somehow that triggered a response in my pride, and it burned. So it wasn't a matter of me saying, oh, now I got slimmed up and you can't call me fat. And it's not a matter of me having my face redone and now you can't call me not handsome. What you were saying was true. It happened. You were reminding me.
Upchuck.
Right. You were reminding me of something that happened. But that triggered something in my pride. The pride nature did not like that. And I did everything I could. I tried to justify it. I tried to rationalize it. I tried to excuse you. I tried all these things over many years, actually, over several years. And I could just see myself doing this, and I would buy it for a while, and then I'd see through my little compensation. And I realized at one point,
It's just a twinkle in my eye. That's all it was.
it is. And you know what the beauty is? That because you weren't trying to destroy me with it, because I have people who throw barbs at me to get control of me and to get me to react.
Yeah.
But I sensed that you weren't trying to destroy me, so what happened was it became my therapy.
You what?
My therapy,
Yeah.
because every time you innocently threw the barb out, I could look to see if there was a little something stirred. And the trick, the secret of life is that you can't fix it. And when you realize there's no way you can stop that emotion, and you stand in the helpless pain of seeing it clear as a bell, you begin to change. And you don't even know you're changing.
That's correct.
You don't feel any different, but that is therapy. And I realized I need to get more upchucks thrown at me.
I'm a funny sort of guy.
You are! Because if I let my guard down and I'm around you a little bit, I always get the evidence of where the evil might be laying in. I say evil, but it's just my pride nature.
That's right.
And here's what happens. That becomes contagious. So now everything I do, everywhere I go, I'm always getting little corrections for me to see my nature, and I see it, I feel helpless. The next thing you know, everything works.
Everything works.
Everything works. And I marvel at that, and then I go out ready to be corrected again by life. And it's not an intellectual exercise at all, it's a soul thing.
That's correct.
And it's very deep,
Well said.
but right on the surface.
Well said. Well said.
You know, it's interesting, and I'm just curious. I'm going to do a test with these people again that I talked to. Did you feel anything at all when I said that? Did you feel a tiny little bit of irritation?
Not irritation, just a little surprise that you said it, but I understand.
Right? Embarrassment, maybe a tiny little bit? Right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, to his point, wonderful test.
Yeah.
That beard. Did I insult you?
Why are you
He has a-
covering up yourself with a beard?
No, it's Santa Claus. He looks, this man for the radio folks, he looks just like Santa Claus. But tiny bit of irritation? Tiny bit of embarrassment? Was there any? I mean, we're human beings. We're going to have them. But this is what Chuck is saying. This is the therapy. It literally is the therapy. So if you can take every cruel thing that is done to you throughout your day, every single day, and look at it as the opportunity to look at that, not what the person said, but what wiggles inside of you.
Correct. I
It's
like
what
it.
wiggles
Is
and
the
jiggles
father son.
inside. That is what you need to look at. Not at the person, because that person said you're fat and ugly. It's what's wiggling inside. When that person said you're fat, you're ugly, you're whatever.
Would you
beard.
tell your mother that?
You married her. It's your job. It's your job.
Oh, good, Roy.
Yes.
I have a story. You went up in Ojai at the farm when I lived there. You had me and my dad over for lunch, and all you kids were there, and you were there, and Ann, and we're sitting down, and you looked over at me and you said, "You're so weak. You're next to useless."
And did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And all your kids go, "Oh, Dad!" Well, that stuck with me forever. I did.
Still bother you?
Not like it was because it was true, but years that was and I am weak still.
Well, what have you been doing with it all these years?
What have I been doing?
He said he made a whole story out of it
Well-
for the whole life, all of his life. What are you getting out of it? I mean, you mentioned it once, but you didn't continue.
What did I?
What
Yeah.
did you learn from that?
Did it keep reoccurring, like you could hear him saying you're weak?
Yes.
You're weak for your whole life?
Yes.
Did you resent me?
Yes. I mean, I didn't consciously know I resented you because you were you. My dad used it on me. No, I have been. I've been told my whole life that I was the
How far-
weakest link. I've been that I'm there. I've been told I
could
was.
see it though. I could see.
Yeah.
It. And you need to see.
Yeah.
When I looked at you, I see everything about you.
Yeah.
And I put it in a little push.
So give her the answer now.
No, I know. I am.
All you see, all I wanted you to do is see it.
I know.
And nobody else would tell you that. Nobody. You go on like that for all your life, and nobody would. So it's shock, but it's a good shock.
Oh, but that was a long. I'm
good
58
shock.
years old now, and
You understand good shock?
yeah, but I remember. But I don't dwell in that. I don't. And I can't see what I can't see, but I don't dwell in that.
You're not going anywhere with that.
She just was saying it is all, but the lady over on the end wants
Yeah.
to. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you've told me I was fat a bunch of times. And
There I am again.
here I am again. As the week goes on and I get more pressured, I would start thinking about it more. And then I would come back and I would look at you and I would see you and I would see there's no hate in you at all. It was nothing mean. And now that it's been a while and you've been doing it for a while, I feel like somebody took an axe and cut me in half. And I haven't been struggling with it at all. And I'm just starting to see the good side getting really, really strong. All the hate side is still all there, and I see it, and I see myself being impatient and having someone hate me and me hating them back. But on the other side, there's this other side that's starting to grow that I'm seeing it, and I'm just looking at it going,
That's
wow,
correct.
that side's getting really strong. And it was that cutting it in half.
You know what? I'd like to address that a little bit. What she is saying is, I had the nerve to tell her she's fat. See, but in a nice way. And it's a shock. It's a nice. Then you are fat, but you don't like to admit it. Basically, or you can live with it and compensate for it. But what is beautiful about what you said is that it disturbed me as if it was cruel. But all of a sudden, you saw my face, and you see, I was just telling you the truth.
I come every week and check.
How beautiful that is.
She says she comes every week and
That's
checks.
it.
I have a story like this, which is interesting because as your son, I had never experienced that. I thought just my crazy dad, right? I mean, imagine if your dad was Roy Masters. Well, that's me.
Oh, my God.
I had to figure out on that path of life about what his message is and the purpose behind it. And you folks have all gone searching to find this man. He's my father. So what happened to me is about 20 years ago, I met a guy named Jay Leno, and I got a chance to have him on my radio show at Pebble Beach. I was doing a live radio broadcast about cars at Pebble Beach. And I asked Jay Leno a really dumb question. I go, so what are you doing here? He goes, I'm here to look at little boys. What do you think I'm doing here? And I said, well, are you showing a car? Are you judging? It was just the way I asked it was really stupid. And he doubled down, And he embarrassed the crap out of me on my own radio show. And I remember getting just furious inside. I had to keep smiling, but I was like, you jerk. And I loved him. He was, everybody knows Jay Leno is a car guy. And I loved him. So you guys, you love my father. And then he throws this dart at you and you're like, you jerk inside, right? So, but I had to forgive him because I couldn't hate the guy that I loved. Then there's this confusion. And so I thought about it for a few minutes. And I thought, well, that was my stupidity because I was the one who asked a stupid question. And guess what? He's a smart guy. He came back with a witty comment, a dart, right? But I let go of it. And then just like she said, I see you every week and I don't see anything. And next time I saw Jay Leno a few hours later, he was smiling at me and patting me on the back again. And I realized it was my own insanity. My own insanity for resenting the outside instead of looking inside for the answers.
I think it's well said.
But I had never experienced that until I was 38 years old. Because, my dad's been doing it through my whole life, so I was completely immune.
I do it every day.
He does it every single day to me, believe me. Anybody want the microphone? Or we'll just, okay.
Hello.
Hi, sir. My experience has been a little different. I've had the benefit of good intended correction. So my path has been more intuitive. I know that's available internally, but it's been a struggle because I will self-hypnotize myself whenever I get close to something that's true.
Say it again.
So he self-hypnotizes himself when he gets close to something that's true.
For example,
Use the word true.
For example, if I start to get too calm, I'll just see a word and I'll start repeating it to myself.
Oh, so you don't have to see what's wrong with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's available.
You see, Anne, you see what he says? He does what you do. When you have a problem, you start to think about things round and round and round,
Correct.
so you don't have to see it.
Distract, right.
Distract you, yeah. Other thoughts.
So how it's manifest, you asked initially what problem I have. Well, my problem now is
not wanting to see.
Well,
that's what it is.
It's a denial, correct, but so now I got a crossroads. I'm ending a career much too long with the government, and so I don't know what it is I love to do. Because I've been...
What are you trying to say, though? I hear the problem. What are you trying to say about it, about dealing with it? You're seeing something that you're dealing with it incorrectly.
Yes.
By thinking about thoughts instead of looking at what you should be seeing for the first time. And own up to it. Oh, I see that.
Right.
But you don't have to say it. You don't have to use words to say, I see that. Oh. You don't have to go, oh.
It's a wordless. It's just a knowing.
It's just a knowing.
Yeah.
I'll just comment on that, maybe to help you. It seems like he's saying that he's had this government job where he's kept himself. He probably hated it.
Government job.
Government job, right? Probably hated it along the way, and he finally found a way to put himself in some sort of a hypnotic trance to just do the job, get it done. And while he lived his life, the years have whittled away. He's now finding himself coming to the end of his career, and he doesn't have anything that he loves. He's like, I don't know what I love. What I do now? Now he's a slave to that hypnosis.
The truth of the matter is, the worst kind of job that you could have is working for the government.
Correct.
It's security, kind of security, but it's not really security. It pays good, and you just go through life, and it's not the way to do it.
Now what does he do, though? He's now at...
Well, so what I've been doing is, I had a failed marriage, failed parent, but I've been very responsible, and I've overcompensated, even took care of my parents when they had Alzheimer's. So I've been preoccupied with these things, well intended, but
Preoccupied is like death.
yeah, it is.
It's like death.
It is.
And I wish I could quote something in the scriptures. It's coming to me in just a little bit, so continue. There's something about money. There's something about security, you see. And security, as we think of it, is having good money, driving a car, and 2 cars, or 3 cars, or whatever it is. We're always looking for more and more and more. But instead of it belonging to you, your car owns you.
Correct.
And everything you experience to feel better about yourself and do things that you know you shouldn't be doing and having a job that you shouldn't be doing is only just a little while so you can get some money so you can do what God wants you to do, so to speak.
What about your book, Surviving the Comfort Zone? Is that...
Surviving the comfort.
He's been living in the comfort zone, and now he's coming out of it, and he realizes...
He'll be fine.
Well,
You mustn't be resentful when you see it. Because
yeah,
the first thing I heard you say is, it disappeared from my head. When you saw the problem, you didn't want to see it. Something like that.
I distract myself, correct.
Distract you with thoughts.
Right.
Distract with
Right.
thoughts. That's what it was. That's got to stop.
And that's, yeah, exactly. And that's the conflict that I have that's even preventing me from even being able to see who it is.
I can give you the cue. The 7-minute meditation is powerful. It's more powerful than all the stuff put together if you have a good heart and you want to really see it. And so when you close your eyes and look at your eyelids, I keep you there where I don't keep you there but be still and know. I talk to you about a lot of things. It's all good. But I keep you there. Look at the thought. Look at your eyelids. And looking at the eyelids is light that looks at the eyelids. In other words, there's another light inside you, so if you go into a dark room, you can see these pixels moving or thoughts that are coming up. And all you have to do is stand back and watch. And when the thought comes, or when you start to flicker away, come back. Just watch those flickering, and pretty soon, perhaps, during the day or during that moment, a thought comes up trying to distract you. And you look at it and just look at it and look at it, gone. And then maybe comes another one. See, when I close my eyes, all I see is little flickers, and disconnecting, which has taught me to express it this way. I'm looking at my eyelids, but the light is shining on my eyelids. So there's a light coming through me to get me to see it. Because if I'm in a dark room, a really dark room, it's still light. And it looks at things, and looks at it, and as you look at it, you are disconnecting, because you can't look at it if you're involved with it. Your intuition, your intuitive self, your soul, is glued to the brain And there's a brain is a monkey brain. And so the monkey brain responds and gives itself to the world.
Well, this intuitive soul you're speaking of, it somehow it's tied up with the monkey brain, but there is, and I can see
Am
that.
I expressing it well?
That the sentiment exercise will enable me to eventually get to the point where I'm catching these things throughout the day, because they happen all day long. You know, it's not just during the exercise. Then at that point, I'm going to lose the confusion.
What was that?
At the point that I'm dismissing these thoughts or these distractions.
You don't dismiss them. You just look at them.
Correct. Okay.
See, I have learned not to dwell on anything. Just be aware. That's all. Nothing else. Just aware. That doesn't mean to say I can't discover things and enjoy things and see birds flying and wondering how trees grow, whatever it is. All I need is to be here and now. And that meditation exercise is so, the scripture says, be still and know I am God, you ain't. That is so magical. But the knowledge of it, how to be still, has been lost. Nobody understands this, but I do.
See, that's that willfulness I have in me, is I keep wanting to deal with it, and I've got to give that up.
You don't want to.
Right.
Because you see, your shock as a child, you come into the world, and the world comes into you, and the culture comes into you, and it takes away your intuition, which is the love of God.
Right.
Intuition.
Right.
You see with his light, as well as the light of the sun and the bulbs in the room. So that's all you need to do, because intuition, I have a realm inside me. It's a realm. If you look at the story of the beginning of the New Testament, in the beginning there is a void and darkness on the face of the deep. I get that. But then all of a sudden something says, in the next chapter it says, and then God said, let there be light. Now, here is what I immediately see. What's the matter with physicists? Why do they call it a singularity? Einstein says there is no stillness in the universe. Everything is moving.
Relative.
Yes, see, but if there's a void, which all the scientists agree there must have been nothing, zero. Where did that? And does it exist in the universe, or does it sit at rest? Absolute stillness, the only still. But where is it coming from? Now, turn it around. I'm sitting, all of a sudden, I'm aware. But that awareness is not like a monkey.
Correct.
I've got eyes like a monkey, but the soul, a monkey does not have a soul. So it can't have a relationship to God, even though he made it. But in you and in the scientists, they need to ask that question, but they won't. They want to be scientists and be known, and they may be very good scientists and do lots of good things, but they're going to die. They're going to do all the things that God wants, but you're going to die because you're not giving God the due for showing you
It's willfulness.
Everything you need to know will become to you every moment. And if it's not coming to you every moment, just take it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Take it easy. Don't distract.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
But you do understand what I'm saying. I just want to add one little thing to it, because it's so difficult. When you look at your eyelids with the average person could do that, but you have to have a certain kind of person that appreciates it, but otherwise you can't go further. You can hear it, but it won't work for you. Be still. And the stillness is not in the universe. You cannot find what you're looking for unless you are still. And what is still is, now here is the hard way to express it. You close your eyes, look at the eyelids, immediately your soul comes away from the brain. So the monkey brain is still working, but the soul is not connected, which is taking, so that all the things that happen to you is taking your brain as well as your soul, because the shock of childhood caused that to happen and to take you away from God. So you're moving away into the world of where time is. See? And so when you stand back with the way I'm trying to say to you, you actually, in looking to the light, looking to your eyelids, there's light coming from somewhere. And that is the realm, the intuitive realm that will show you without words. But it's
I can help you on this one.
yeah.
It
can
says
you?
also like a lamp unto your feet.
That's right.
The word is illuminate. What happens is it's like a lamp unto your feet, but it's a lamp unto the truth, and it illuminates
Correct.
the unspoken word
Correct.
of what is the path, what is the truth. And it's an illumination of thoughts that are not picture thoughts. They're just like almost like a wormhole that you know you're supposed to go in that direction in life. But it gets illuminated like a lamp under your feet.
You're always being guided. When you go to the toilet, excuse the expression, you're always being guided, but you don't notice it. But you start noticing the things that nobody else sees it. For example, I said, be still and know. Who in this world can tell you what that means? But how did I discover it? My whole life. One thing after another thing after another thing after, all of a sudden, I'm beginning to see that the reason why I can see is because there's another light. And it disconnects the soul from the monkey brain and brings it towards God. It's got to go one way or the other. The light comes, it takes you away from your monkey brain, and the world can't touch you anymore.
Because your outward eyes, your eyes get distracted by shiny, sparkly things.
Exactly.
And you have to step away from that. And then that illumination of the truth will show you the direction to go. And then you see all the sparkly, shiny things, cars, women, whatever it might be for the men. Those things don't matter because the path is illuminated for you.
Can I give you a good example of that? I used to play tennis. I was good at everything. I did that. I was always the head of the football and all the rest. But, oh dear, I forgot what I was going to say.
Tennis.
Yeah, oh yes. So when I play the game, whether I lose or win, what I do is jump over the net and congratulate. Thank you. It's a very nice game. You did a good job. And we're friends. If I lose or I win, if I win, I go over and say thank you. and the other person says, you're welcome, I enjoyed it too. It was fun. Now, look this is England. This is how you play football. The football there is different, you know.
Soccer.
Yeah. And so, what's wrong with the Americans? What's wrong with them is they get excited. Hooray, hooray, hooray. And when their side wins, they go crazy. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. It's excitement. It's excitement as if you were playing little toys. And the little toys are the kids, are the football people running around inside. But the excitement is dangerous. It's addictive. We used to be, I was always the one that runs everything. I can't remember.
Captain.
Huh?
Captain. The captain?
Yes, always the captain. And always, I have never seen it with football or tennis. When we're finished with our struggling with each other and having fun, we walk up to the other person and shake hands. Enjoyed it very much. This is what keeps you sane. What makes you insane is to become addicted to
Excitement.
trying to make magically your person that you want to win. And then get upset that it didn't happen. Or whoopee, 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 and emotions, which is dangerous. It's not only that, it's everything else in the world. And you die from it. You die from it. You have anxiety. I don't know where it's coming from. After all, a football game.
So what you're saying is have fun, but then when you're done, come back to
Exactly.
your center.
It's enjoyable.
Come back to your center.
We're
Find yourself.
friends.
Yeah.
We're friends. We're just having fun. I help him to be stronger, and he helps me to be stronger. See? And so next time he wins, and I lose, it's fine. My relationship with that person is helping him to get better. And I'm losing, I'm getting better because I shake hands and say it was a nice game.
You know, it's interesting. I'm listening to you talk, and I was thinking about ping pong, and I've always been a really good ping pong player because I would watch where the weaknesses were for the other person, and you play against their weakness, and that's how you beat them. That's how you win, by finding their weakness and play against their weakness until you win the game. And in life, it's like that too. If you look for people's weaknesses, you can overpower them with your strengths. And in business, it's the same way. If you want to, win in business, you look at your component or your opponent, your competitor, and you say, well, where is their weakness? And we can be stronger in that area. But it's interesting how people forget, they get so caught up in the excitement that it's like a drug. It like becomes a drug that the body excretes the chemical.
May I stop you for a second?
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be that way.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Or my relationship with another person who I'm doing business with, it's not a matter of me overcoming him and him overcoming me, taking advantage of each other. I want to do the right thing by you. That's all.
So question for you. We'll just keep it at ping pong. If I'm playing ping pong with somebody and I'm playing against their weakness, they can't return my serve. If I tell them, listen, I'm playing against your weakness, so strengthen that area of your life, of your game, and we can even have a better game, and then we can shake hands when we're done. We have even more fun and become more skilled.
You don't want to feel important when you
No.
don't have any feeling.
Right.
about it.
Even a game of ping pong, you can feel, like I am the victor.
I can tell you a
I'm
little
God.
story about ping pong.
Yeah.
I had a person who was really good at ping pong, and we were very proud of it. He's really good. He won prizes and everything. I says, I'm going to beat you. He says, okay. I took one of my kids on my shoulder, and the game started. It intimidated him so much, he couldn't function. But that's not really good, really. That's
You're a
using
hypnotist. The point is, though, I think about anything you do, if you get a high feeling off of it,
Yeah.
you're self-medicating in that high feeling.
Exactly so.
The same way that you, sir, were
Yeah.
self-medicating to put yourself to sleep so you didn't have to feel the pain of the fact that you resented your wife, your job, whatever it is, your lot in life.
But Chuck, have we moved away from you? Have you?
No, this is all.
Are we still on the same
No,
page?
we're talking different aspects of this issue because this is the critical issue. In my opinion, this is an issue of life, which is to say we are meant to be aware, and in that awareness, to see our helplessness.
Yes.
That is all. You're
That's
not
beautiful.
required to fix your helplessness. You're simply required to be willing to see it at any moment. I can sit here in the chair and see my mind pulling me off with this thought line or that thought line, and I might catch it instantly and just see it and just see the thought line, and it just dissolves. And sometimes I get pulled for 15 seconds into a thought, and then I'm back in the moment again. And I don't have to chastise myself for it. The awareness is not my awareness. That's the trick. It's his awareness. And if I use my awareness for his awareness, I'm a fool.
It's a given awareness.
It's a given.
A given awareness.
And if I put mine in place of his, I will never see what I need to see. I'll always miss it a little bit. I can talk all around it, but I'll miss it.
Beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? In other words, you don't have to make any decisions at all. You just wait and see. I like those words, wait and see. It now has another meaning to it, as you've otherwise thought before. Wait and see. No hurry. It's forever. Don't worry. It's forever. And whatever it means, I'm sure it means paradise lost, found.
And you go without that question answered. You go with just the question, and that's all he wants you to go with. The question, I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to follow anyway.
That's right.
And only
Everything
step by
bad.
step, only each one step at a time. You never see too much farther. That's okay.
You know what? Let me take a piece of scripture. I like this one. Everything bad happens for good. Now ask the question, if everything was all right like an animal, you don't have a choice. The animal doesn't have a choice. It runs, it fights, it runs, it fights, it kills, it gets killed. It doesn't have any future except new babies. And they grow up to have a future of new babies. But we have both. We're stuck in the middle. And so there's an awareness, a realm, and that realm inside you is where the singularity, that hot thing that appears, that's where you are. You can't see it with your eyeballs in any way, shape, or form. But awareness is that which you cannot see. But it shines through you, so you can see. You can't see, but still you know it's there.
But you're seeing by his
Yeah.
light that you can't see.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the magic.
That's
all it
magic.
is.
Yeah.
I have an add to this, and I'd like for you to talk about it. It's interesting how, as human beings, there are so many temptations for us to,
Overcome.
well, yeah, she said overcome. But it's everything from the visual temptations of whatever that is for that particular person. But food is such an interesting temptation because it's something that you actually put inside your body. And I heard somebody say the other day, and I said it to you, that the stomach is the puppet master. The head is the puppet. The stomach calls for something. It calls for food. I'm hungry. The ego then jumps in and says, oh, this will be good for you. You would like this nice piece of carrot cake or whatever it is, even though you may be dying from being
It's a
obese.
distraction. It's
Right?
food's a distraction, and therefore, it is. I couldn't find the word. Let me think for a minute. Well, my brain doesn't work as good sometimes. Oh yes, intuition. There was intuition. Right. You carry on.
Well, it's just interesting how we can be on this wonderful path and knowing that we're going in the right direction in our life.
It's addiction. Everything that gives you pleasure. Food, drugs, you name it. But food is the strongest addiction.
Because you have to have it every day
Yes, it's addiction.
to survive.
There's a person on Fox, and he comes on and says, addiction is a disease. That man's crazy. Addiction is not a disease. It's something else.
It's a fallen
It's
nature.
not itself a disease. It's an addiction. Addiction makes you a slave of what is giving you the pleasure to take away your anxiety. This is following you all the way to the grave. See, all these things, and if
The
you're a
word
rich
disease
person,
is an excuse
Yeah,
made by that person.
but you say a person's getting richer and richer and richer and richer. The more rich he gets, the further he is from God. But it's fun. I get more money. I could get a nice car. I want two cars. And you keep doing that more and more and more. And so that's an addiction. A car is addiction. Sex is addiction. Everything is an addiction if it's reacting, if it's getting you to forget that you're guilty of this and that. And so sooner or later, there's a scripture that makes this point, and I'm trying to it's coming back. It says, I was just reading it last night, and I can't remember the exact terms, but sooner or later you're going to be unhappy, miserable with what you've got. And so if you want to find happiness, give everything away to everybody. I mean, to the degree.
Can I have that nice car you have?
Yeah,
I'm joking. I said, can I have your
I
nice car?
understand.
No, but I have a point because I was sitting at
Do you
breakfast.
understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying. In other words, I understand. I won't go deep into that. But
It just makes
I
it
was
worse.
sitting there thinking, what should I order when you was at a restaurant? What should I order? And something inside of me said, well, you deserve to have something good today.
Just like that?
Something, wasn't words. It was just, you deserve to have this.
Like a self-justification.
Well, it was almost like the devil's in there making me feel good about myself, and so I can have this delicious, delightful thing. And it's another shiny thing. But I know I have to eat. I don't have to have the shiny thing or the car, but I have to eat. So the food is such an interesting, our dysfunctional relationship with food is such an interesting thing because 2 or 3 times a day, for me it's 6, we have to eat. 2 or 3 times a day we have to eat. I was joking. We have to eat. So if we are not aware or living our lives in that state of total consciousness or awareness, or at least trying or remembering that we've got to stay aware, that devil that we have housed for our entire life inside of us will keep trying to distract us from the illuminated
Correct.
path. The lamp under your feet, the illuminated path we're supposed to take. And we start then sinning quietly through our food, through our thoughts.
Let me just make a point. Paradise Lost. It's the same order. It's food.
Right.
It's food.
Started with food.
And it still is food. It's addictive. It's more addictive than drugs. Because you get fatter and fatter, and it feels more and fatter. And then the doctors give you this and that, and so you can keep eating what you shouldn't be eating, and so on and so forth. And so the doctors are actually killing people and not telling them
The
do
truth.
yourself a favor.
Yeah.
What you're describing is
It's Paradise Lost. It's in the, how can I say it? It's the Adam and Eve syndrome. You can call it Adam and Eve syndrome. This is it. It's the worst of all. Even if you're poor and you eat the food and you have hunger for it, or if you have just not enough food for you and gently give something to your children and go without yourself, that's better. That is more beautiful. See?
what you're describing is a lack of patience, because the addiction or the distraction will always interrupt
Correct.
that realization.
So what will happen in your life is that you do not know how sweet you are to other people, because it's not you that's being good and kind. Right. Jesus says, of myself, I can do nothing. The Father within me, He acts through me. Just the word acts. He is in me. Excuse the expression.
Yes. Okay. I was going to mention about 25 years ago, I had an awakening where I became very aware, but I was still where I was at, still back in the world, but I had this awareness that was way ahead of where I was at. And it's been that way for years, and when I first realized this awareness, it was ugly. It was a really tough time.
Disturbing. It was disturbing.
Yes, it's very disturbing. Everything was black, it seemed like. And it's been a journey to the light over the years, a process, some kind of underworld. And
I like that word, underworld.
yeah, that's what it was like. It was a very, very weird place, and I've seen a lot of things while I was there. But the thing was, my question is that awareness has been ahead of me. It stays ahead of me where I'm at. And
It's always there waiting for you.
Okay.
It's always there waiting. But it's a realm. It's a realm where the singularity, the infinitely hot, that is relative to the infinitely cold. Infinitely cold is nothing. So how can nothing create something hot? Forever. Forever hot and forever cold, because the cold is forever, giving it length, forever length. So you can have the universe gets bigger and bigger, and it never will collapse. Never. It's beautiful. And that realm is what talks to me without words. It just gives an intuition. I'm getting old and not easy finding the right words. I'm sort of lost in basic English, which is all I need, basic English. I don't need the rest of it. All I need to see it as we talk to each other. It comes. And it comes from you too. We come to each other. I can help you see, and you can help me see. And I can see that you see. It's so beautiful.
I have a story.
Hello.
Mike.
Oh, sorry. Just returning an email.
This is a good discussion today.
Thank you,
you.
Joanna.
Thank you very much.
Last night, Bernie invited me to a dinner in Rogue River.
Who?
Bernie, right here, and it was Delta what?
Delta Company, National Guard. I retired from there.
Delta Company National Guard, and Bernie is a retired National Guardsman. And this was for the Delta Company in Rogue River,
The Christmas party.
the Christmas party. And we were sitting there, Bernie and I, obviously the older people in the entire room, all these other young guys and their families and girlfriends, and it was a lot of fun. And they all have their, what do you call it, their, one higher than the other in
Ranks.
the ranks. Thank you very much. They all have their ranks.
Now you know it's to feel like me, because I can't find the words sometimes.
Oh, I do this all the
You're
time.
getting old.
This is fine with me. So the one person that was speaking the most was throwing a lot of F-bombs.
What?
F-bombs.
word.
Oh, F words.
Yeah. And Bernie was, we were sitting there listening to this, and he was saying, when I was here doing this when I was younger, the decorum was completely different. That was not done. And I took note of that. And then when we had the program, and the first thing on the program was to salute President Trump being Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America. Okay, by now, everybody in this room was very intoxicated. All these young men were just guzzling booze. It was just weird. But anyway, it came to where this one gentleman in the middle of the table, he was, what would he?
The first sergeant? Is that
The
one
first
you call it?
sergeant, and very weakly or softly, he commended the commander-in-chief. And then the two men across the table from Bernie and I, very strong, and the U.S. Army, and the Delta Force, and I noticed the difference between the respect that these two young men did and how weak this other man actually commemorated the commander-in-chief. So after a little bit, I started reading this program, and he didn't even say the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America, whatever. He just said Commander-in-Chief. And my impression was that was about him. And I go, well, that wasn't right. Something's wrong here. So I asked the two gentlemen across the table, what about President Trump? He's the Commander-in-Chief. Well, he already mentioned him. I says, well, that's weird. I didn't hear it. At the opportune time, I took the program, and I walked over to this gentleman,
The first sergeant.
the first sergeant, and I asked him about that. I says, when you said this about the commander-in-chief, it was so weak, I didn't even catch it. I thought you were talking about yourself. And he says, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, when the other two men, and I reiterated that, and he said, well, I apologize, ma'am. And he was so polite. He took complete responsibility in how it was done. And then because of that, and then I included the story about the guy throwing the F-bombs. And I said,
What was that?
Swearing, F word.
Oh, F.
yeah, call them the F-bombs, Mr.
Yeah.
Masters, boom,
Oh,
F, Well, when people use that word, it's for shock value on the most part. But he was using it for an ego point, to be more manly, and I can use the F-bomb. And there was children, and there were wives and girlfriends in this room. It was inappropriate. So I brought it up to this first sergeant, and I complained about him using the F-bombs, that it was an inappropriate thing, and that Bernie,
It isn't strong enough.
but Bernie,
What you're saying is not strong enough.
Mr. Masters, hold on. He apologized for that as well. And he says, I take full responsibility. It falls back on me.
All right.
Okay? And I was standing next to this gentleman that had his rank in order at that moment in time, being that I'm just a civilian and an older lady standing there looking up at him like this. And he took full responsibility.
I like that.
The feeling that I had was so much respect for this young man that the manhood in him was so evident in my heart. I had respect for this man to stand there. I take full responsibility, ma'am.
Because he didn't make excuses.
He made no excuses, Alan. Thank you very much. And it was just, I don't experience that very much in my life with men. It was wonderful.
I think that it was good.
There's more.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
I thank him for his decorum and how sweet he was, and that he acknowledged everything I was. Very good manners, as he should have been, as he should have taught. And I went back to my chair. And immediately, the man that kept doing the F-bombs, he was delegated by this first sergeant to come over to Bernie, ask him his name and his rank, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. And Bernie told him the rank. And as a result of my being able to share with this first sergeant, they came over and they acknowledged Bernie of his service in the National Guard. And there was an adjustment in that room. And it was because of this man's own attitude adjustment.
Ripple effect.
It was a ripple effect in the room where they all just kind of started mellowing out with respect
That's very
towards
nice.
one another.
Very nice.
And I noticed this like a wave. It was wonderful.
All it takes for evil to prevail in this world is for good men and women to do nothing.
It was really nice.
Did I say?
Anyway, I just wanted to share that story that
I think it's
it
very
was
nice.
it was special that Bernie got the acknowledgement as well, which was a total surprise, unexpected, and they did the right thing.
I have.
Bernie,
Have you ever been to my website? I mean, my Facebook? And there's one with me and a famous person. I can't think of his name.
Matt Drudge?
Matt Drudge. And I first met Matt Drudge, my son Mark, when he was doing business with me. It's like 30 years ago.
20.
Yeah, 20, was it 20 years ago? Anyway, I didn't know who that was. I'm sitting in the back, and having food. And they were giving him applause. I mean, he's meant to get some very gracious
award. An award.
an award. That's right. Thank you very much. But all the people in the paper world and all the other people around him begin to intimidate him. Heckle. Yeah. Thank you very much. And what do you think I did? Excuse me. He's here for his award. Shut up and let him speak. And he came around afterwards and sat with me. He became my friend. I remember him. The last thing I heard of him was about 3 or 4 years ago. I received not a video, what do you call it? In email. And he said, I'm sitting here in Florida looking out at the ocean. And he said such nice things about me, how much he appreciated me and how he loved me for that. He never forgot it. Now, I tried to write to respond to that, but I couldn't. But then eventually I got to see him a couple of times, but we are friends. But I don't take advantage of that. But it was something I had to do like that, see? And now I'm a man, and she's a lady. She did it in ladylike way. But Roy Masters would have got up and said, shut up. See? That is, the people, the children are here. The wives are here.
Brenda, you could have done that too, by the way.
Yeah, that is.
Feel that inside.
But the point is, she did it. She does it in a ladylike way.
Well, I have done it the way you have as well.
Oh, you have the. Oh, good.
It just depends. It
Use
depends
the
on
mic.
what the call is.
Use the mic.
But your graciousness,
Yeah.
It
your
depends.
graciousness brought the character in the sergeant.
It did, and but I have done it the way you have because it depends on what is
Correct.
called at that moment.
I understand. It makes sense.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense.
The way I see it is, because I have 4 children, when I see adults acting foolishly in front of children, I don't let it happen. I stop it immediately. Because to me, that's the greatest offense to God, is to defile children. So that's the only thing I was saying, is that if I would have been there, of course, and I'm a man and you're a woman, but I think that, if my wife would have been there and somebody was rude, she would have got up immediately. I think that a woman can do the same thing. You've got to protect those children. And if they see this is okay and nobody stands up, then they think it's okay too. So the example that adults set for children is really important. And if you're with adults, and I happen to have been with Chad McQueen, Steve McQueen's son, and I was a big fan of Steve McQueen, and I met his son and became friends with him, and on his birthday, he invited me to his birthday about 10 years ago, his 43rd birthday. And he had 2 little kids there that were his children. And he was drunk, and everybody was drunk, and he started saying all kinds of horrible things. And even though I had the chance again to be with this amazing, what I considered a celebrity, and it was like, for me, it was such a neat thing, I couldn't take it. As soon as he started doing these things in front of his own children, they were like 8 and 9 years old, I went over to him and I grabbed him and I said, come here, I have to talk to you, I'm leaving. And he says, Al, what's going on, Al? I said, I have to talk to you, but let's go over here. And I said, I have to leave because I can't watch you and stand by and witness you destroying your own children. So I'm leaving to protest the way you're acting right now.
Let me just stop you here for a
He
minute.
says, Al, that's so heavy, Al. I said, well, I got to go. But he thanked me years later.
I want to ask Chuck, is all of this okay with you, relevant to what you got started?
You started it.
I don't know. I mean, everyone, I don't know.
Where everybody had varying degrees of everything.
Yeah. It's all about a journey.
It's all about, that's correct.
And she's talking about standing up in the moment. And, that's part of the journey, is to take the risk, to be, you don't know what's going to happen.
But what you said was very deep.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if anybody remembers that.
No.
But it kept on coming. The problem you have kept on popping up, and you have to pop it down, so to speak.
Well,
It's not quite that way.
no. What happened?
Put it in your words. I like to hear those words.
Well,
Because we're coming to the end of the program, and I like to keep that whole thing
yeah,
alive.
because the whole point of existence on this earth because you talk about the singularity and all this stuff, and a lot of people go, oh, yeah, it's physics. But it's not about physics, it's spiritual. Because the Father who created everything in existence, the powerful force behind life, wants to be present in your being.
Correct.
And his presence brings with it reality, the real reality. And there's a part of us that has created an artificial reality that's made us feel secure in ourselves and defended us against
That's
the
well
meanness
said.
out there.
That's well
That
said.
artificial defense will be upended by his presence when it comes in. When you let the Father's presence come in, the first thing that happens is you don't feel God, you just feel less. You feel embarrassed. You feel helpless. And everyone has been running from helpless feelings all their life. They started helpless and they hated being helpless.
Well,
You need to return to the state of a child, which is the helplessness
Correct.
in his presence.
Yes.
Not helplessness in the presence
child
of
has
evil.
it. The child has it when it comes into the world.
But you
and
now
it gets
have,
taken away from
as
it.
an adult, if you have the spirit of a child, you are not helpless in the presence of evil.
No.
You actually can walk in the room and evil looks at you across the room in someone else. And it is intimidated by your presence, and you're simply
Correct.
like a child. And you will have the energy and power to stand up when it's needed, but you won't have to think, well, now I need to stand up for this. No, it's not about morals or
It's
anything.
automatic.
You see it, and it either happens or it doesn't happen, and you're waiting to see, and all the time you're feeling helpless, but it's a certain special helplessness. It's not self-enforced. See, we always want to say, oh, is that what I have to be? I'll be that way. It isn't like that. You need to see the I'll be that way part of your nature is killing you and is a lie. You cannot be that way because you make up your mind.
Just to bring it back to not the void. No, it's a word that I've used all the way through this discussion here.
Singularity?
No, it's not the singularity. It's a realm. It's a realm that cannot be seen, cannot be understood, but you cannot see the realm that created the singularity, the infinitely hot, let there be light. You can't see beyond that because you can't think of being beyond a void. And you can't figure out where the hot singularity comes from. You can't. The mind is, but the only place you can see it is when it comes to you and shows you and says you can't see it with your eye, but here I am. It's in me. It's in you. Mm-hmm. And it's all you need. And you can see that it's coming from someplace that you physically, spiritually cannot see, but it's inside you. And it's the only place on this earth it can be seen that way.
And as it comes inside of you, you say, look at the leaves and the seeds from plants and all, but I see, everywhere I look, I see his force at work. He reveals
Exactly.
it. And I don't have to look for it. It's just all of a sudden, something all of a sudden comes together and says, oh, okay.
You're
And then
always,
I just
you're
go
always
on.
learning.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that it's there, but each step I take, it's in the darkness. I don't know where my foot's going to land, but I'm willing to take
That's
the
right.
step. And because I'm in this helpless journey and willing to let him lead me just enough to see where to put my foot, but not quite where it's going to rest.
Correct.
Because I'm in that state, he begins always to just give you little indications that you're on the right path. And when you're not on the right path, you know it
Correct.
instantly. And you don't fix it, you just see it.
Yes, you have the
He
knower.
needs to let you
You
need
have
to
the
have the
knower.
humility to be corrected
Yeah.
all the time.
Oh. Well, it's been a very nice. It's very nice to have to have you today. I apologize for my lack of words sometimes, but I think I think you've understood a lot of things I've said, and I have appreciated all the things you have said. Okay, God bless you all, and,
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
and we'll see you next week. Okay.